Hi, I'm Maggie Weldon, owner of MaggiesCrochet.com. I'm very proud to say that MaggiesCrochet.com is now the largest all crochet site online. We have thousands of crochet patterns and hundreds of them are free. I learned to crochet a long time ago when I was in 4th grade. Nobody in my family knew how to crochet, so I was taught the chain stitch, and I did the chain stitch. I crocheted the whole skein of yarn into just a long row of chains, and I rolled those chains up into a ball. And then it wasn't until a couple years later that I picked up a book and I saw how you could build the stitches off of the chain. So it's really nice to have these videos so that you could learn anything you want to learn, especially in crochet, and it's very exciting. So I'm hoping to teach you through these videos exactly how to do the stitches and the techniques that you've been wondering about or having a hard time with. So pick up your hooks and your yarn and let's get started on some lessons. In this video, I'm going to show you how easy it is to make this ribbed hat. And you can make these hats for any size head, and at MaggiesCrochet.com there's a chart with head sizes, and that I know the chart is on the videos main page and it's under projects, and there's a hat video, and if you go to that video page there's a chart there with all the different head sizes. But basically the pattern for this one is in PA 727, and it's called Magic Tube Set 1. And it's called a magic tube only because this is basically a tube. It's like rows of the single crochet that's done in the back loops, and there's a video on that, and it creates this ribbing effect. And then you sew it together into a tube, and then you gather the top. And you can make slippers with this process, or you can make a hat like you see here. But there's all kinds of things that you can make with this technique. So right now I've got a flat piece and I'm going to turn it into a hat to show that to you. Okay, this is the piece I did. And this is going to be a smaller hat, and I came up with this neat idea just recently. I pull my loop out and I just tie a bow with it at the end, so that when I want to go back later I just pull the bow out to start working on it again, but that way it doesn't start unraveling. So what I did here was I chained. Let me see, I've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 17. So I chained 18, and I worked on rows of 17 single crochet back and forth, and I went in the back loop, and there's another separate video that shows you how to do that. So I went until my piece, I just kind of eyeballed it, and when I folded it in half, and I'm going to gather the top, I imagined it being big enough for a little hat. But basically it worked out to be 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, 30, 32, 33 rows that I did on I forgot what I said, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 17 single crochets. So I would have chained 18 in the beginning and then worked 30 some rows across. So now I'm going to show you how you would sew this together. Now I crochet right-handed, but I am actually left-handed. So when I sew, I'm going to be doing it left-handed, but I think you'll get the idea. Or we may flip the video. Okay, first thing I need to do is cut off a very long end. This is probably about 24 inches. And what I did was, when I was down to my last stitch, I just did a slip stitch and then pulled the yarn all the way through. Let me go back and show you that. Sometimes I forget that I'm teaching. Okay, so I would have got down to my last row, my last stitch, and I would have just yarned over and done a slip stitch and then pulled this all the way through like that. And that locks it. It's not going anywhere. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to sew the hat together. So I put my needle on the yarn. And I'm going to run the needle and just catch the loops at the end of the rows. I don't have to get every single row, but at least every other row for sure. Okay, and I'm just going to go a few inches across and then pull my yarn through, because if I wait to the end, it's going to be almost impossible to pull it through. So then I'm going to go back here, pick up some loops, and I like using a yarn needle with a sharp point. Right now I'm using the Crochet Dude needles, which are really nice. Okay, and then I'm going to go, I'm just catching, see the, let's see right there. Catching like every other, sometimes every row. Really won't make that much of a difference. So I've come all the way down to the end here. I'm going to pull that through. I'm going to try to do some of this right-handed. Okay, so now I've got it gathered here. So I'm going to pull that real tight. And what I want to do is pull it as tight as I can. You don't want to pull it so tight that you rip the yarn, but you want to pull it pretty snug. And I am going to secure it right there. I'm going to do a couple of stitches there at the end to lock that gathering. Now on this ribbing, it doesn't matter which is the right and which is the wrong side. Both sides look pretty much the same. So now I've got that locked in there. See, it's starting to look like a hat already. And now I need to sew the unused chains of row 1 to the single crochet stitches of the last row of my piece. And I'm going to match stitch to stitch all the way down. And this thing I think I'm just going to tuck into the, well, I'll leave it on this side because I think I'm going to make this be my wrong side and I'll flip it back around. So I'm going to go up here to the closest stitch to the top and I'm going to match stitch to stitch. And even if it's off by a stitch, you can kind of ease it in there. You may have to put 2 stitches from one side together with the other side. I'm just going to go through both loops here on the one side and 1 loop on the other side. Okay, after you get about halfway across here, you want to pull the stitches. You don't want to pull them so tight that it starts gathering, but you want that to be really straight there. Because I think if it's loose, it'll pucker out, not look right. You could also crochet this together if you wanted to, but that would make kind of a thick ridge there. Okay, now I'm down to the end, and I'm going to pull this again. I probably should have pulled it sooner because it doesn't want to pull right in here. It doesn't want to go straight. So I'm going to go in there, pull up my loop here, and pull that straight there. I got it. Okay, and then I'm going to pull this straight. Okay. You might want to, before you secure this, you might want to turn it to the other side and see how it looks from the other side. See right there, you can't even tell that it's been sewn together. And you might want to experiment with ending up on a different side, and when you sew it together, see how the seam comes across. You might do a little sample piece of just like 5 single crochets and then do maybe about 10 rows and then bring it together at different sides of finishing to see how that affects that joining right there. But that's how it'll look on the right side. So I'm going to go back to my wrong side and keep going on this. Now I'm going to go over this a couple of times because I'm happy with the way it looks on the right side. But I want to secure that, and then I'm going to sew my ends in, and I've got another video on sewing the ends in, and I do have a video for this ribbing single crochet, and I will have a video in the future on pom-poms. You might want to make a pom-pom for the top of the hat, and I do have a video on curly cues. So that's how you make a hat out of a piece of ribbed crochet. So your hat looks like that, and this of course would be for a little baby, and you could make it a little bit wider, like if your rows are wider, so that you have enough length to make a little cuff. But that might be good there. And there's a really cute pattern that I'm posting with this video, and it's a little pumpkin hat. So I'll show you how to make the pumpkin hat in the to go along with this video. But you can imagine this with little curly cues on the top, or a little pom-pom. It'd be really cute. And then some of our another pattern that we have is the Santa toilet paper topper, and the little hat is done just like this with the ribbing. But it's really, really cute. So that's how you sew the a hat together. Cute. If you have any suggestions or ideas for other videos, just email videos@maggiescrochet.com. And I want to thank you very much for watching.